Good evening, guys. I'm Christian Esguerra, and welcome to tonight's episode of Facts First. As always, I'd like to thank everyone for your continued support dito po sa ating Facts First podcast. So today is August 9. Maraming salamat po sa patuloy niyong pagsuporta. So ito, ipinangako ko sa inyo to, no? 2 days ago, I told you na meron tayong special guest for tonight. Medyo light muna yung first part ng ating programa para ngayong gabi. Pero yung second part, mabigat po yung problema pag-uusapan natin. Pagpapatuloy po ito ng ating conversation regarding the water cannon incident diyan po sa malapit sa Ayungin Shoal within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines, so yung tinatawag na West Philippine Sea. Makakausap po natin mamaya dito sa second half ng ating programa si retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Pero bago po yan, gusto ko munang pasayahin kayo, no? Let's celebrate Pinoy Pride. Meron tayong kababayan. We're all very proud of this. This is quite an achievement. So, kasama po siya sa bagong superhero flick. Okay, ang title po is Blue Beetle. Of course, karamihan naman sa inyo nasa social media, so I'm sure you are familiar with our special guest for tonight. Alam ko pinangako sa inyo before when we shifted from ANC dito sa online, sa digital platform. Sabi ko, medyo mas magtatagalog tayo or magpi-Filipino. Pero ang guest natin kasi, professional voice over talent. Okay? I'd like to welcome to our Facts First podcast for the first time, si Miss Inka Magnaye. Good
Hi,
evening, Inka.
everyone. Good
Hi.
evening. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Ito, kailangan ko ibalik yung pag-English ko because when I was with
Okay
ANC,
naman po.
hindi, kailangan mapapalaban ako sa'yo, no?
Hindi naman po.
Professional voice talent ang ating guest ngayong gabi. I'm really happy that you're able to join us tonight. Ikaw, kumusta, Inka?
Okay naman po. It was a big day today. Ang dami pong mga interviews kasi sobrang excited kami na i-promote yung bagong movie ng DC, Blue Beetle. Napaka-exciting talaga.
Okay. Mamaya, pag-usapan natin yung movie, pero mamaya, syempre, magpapakwento ako tungkol sa iyo, no? Pero I'm sure many people are very familiar of you already, no? Inka Naye. So,
Yes po.
unang-una, how did you land this gig? Ikaw yung bosses ni Scarab, no? Sa Blue
Po.
Beetle. Paano?
Yes. Actually, sila po yung nag-message sa akin. They sent us an email asking if I wanted to join the movie as the voice of the Scarab. Siyempre, hindi naman tayo hihindi sa DC kasi dream come true ito. So, I was like, yes, let's go. Let's do it.
Mm. Ano to, walang audition? So, they basically reached out to you and then they told you, we want you to voice this.
Yes, exactly that.
Wow. Kailan mo nakuha yung message?
When was this? It was a few weeks back pa po because we needed time to really complete all of the voice lines. So kailangan i-record sa studio tapos post-production pa po para maabutan natin yung August 16. 15 actually kasi 15 po yung advanced screening.
Pero yung August 16, that's the international release, tama ba?
This is, I believe, international. And
International
also
release. Okay, abangan nyo, no? Mahilig tayo rito sa mga superhero movies. Pero ito, talk to us a bit about Blue Beetle. No? So siguro hindi siya as popular as the other superhero flicks or characters. Pero matagal na itong Blue Beetle. No? So what is this all about?
Yes po. So Blue Beetle has actually been around in the DC universe for a while now, and it's one of those favorites of like the DC fans. In fact, when the news of it came out, ang dami ko pong mga friends na hindi ko na-realize na Blue Beetle fan pala sila, na nag-message sa akin. Tinawagan nila ako. Sabi nila, "Huy, totoo ba? Ikaw ba talaga yung bosses ni Blue Beetle?" I said, "Yes. Oh my gosh." Sabi ko, "Fan ka pala?" Hindi ko alam. So, ang dami palang, it's one of those like classic superheroes talaga na ang daming excited para makita na si Blue Beetle finally on the big screen.
Meron siya talagang following, no? So ikaw, yung The Scarab, this was ito yung alien, tama ba?
Yes,
Yung
yes.
nag-possess kay Jaime. Is that correct?
Yes. A symbiote. So parang she attaches herself into the body of the host.
Mm. How difficult was it? How challenging was the role of voicing the Scarab?
Well, I believe physically po kasi, like, I'm so used to doing voiceovers. But also, I think it was like a mental challenge for me. Kasi alam ko na international film to. This is an international franchise from DC, from Warner Brothers. So it feels like such a big responsibility, and it is. Thank you po sa mga comments. Hello everyone watching.
Ang dami
And
nagtutuwa sa'yo. Grabe. Bumaba ng messages, seryoso.
hello. And I was just so nervous this whole time kasi it's such a big role and responsibility. Tapos na-realize ko rin po na this is Pinoy pride that I'll be carrying with me into DC. So parang may added layer po siya na I don't know how to describe it. It's like a different dimension to the whole thing na it's not just a voiceover gig, it's not just a role. Pero
Mm.
may iba pa siyang elements na I'm carrying. It feels like I'm carrying the Filipino talent as a representative to the world. So it feels like, I don't know, it's big for me. So it was challenging in many different ways. That's for
Parang
sure.
parang you're still in cloud nine, no? Yung euphoria nandun pa, no?
Definitely. Kasi ngayon lang po nag-think in eh. Kasi before, parang I'll just go into the studio and ilang beses na ako nasa studio. Sobrang sanay na ako doon mag-record and all these things. So hindi pa talaga siya, thank you Eric, hindi pa talaga siya nagsisink in. Pero today, kasi it was the press con, ang daming questions, and it was like a whole like signing and media day. So parang ngayon, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is pretty big.
This is real, in short, no? Talagang totoong
Yeah.
totoo. Pero when were you able to see the movie, yung final product? Nakita mo na ba?
Hindi pa po. Yung
Hindi pa, okay?
hindi pa. So I'll be watching it with everyone on the 15th.
Mm.
Yung nakita ko lang parts are the parts na kailangan kong i-record. Pero other than that,
Mm.
wala po akong surprise
Ah,
din po sa akin.
maganda experience siya, no? With friends and
Oh,
family, and then all of a sudden you will
yes.
see that for the first time, like the rest of us.
Yes.
Uh, how long was the recording?
Oh, it took the whole day. It took the whole day for
So
sure.
one day lang? Kasi I was, sorry, I'm ignorant sa ganyan, no? I was thinking,
It's
baka
okay.
it was a matter of days. Isang araw lang pala yun.
Isang araw lang po. Yes, yes.
Oo. And then,
Yeah.
paano yun? Yung talk to us about your thought process. Yung talaga nandun ka na sa recording studio and then, oh, this is it, no? So, you're going to voice the Scarab, DC, Universe, big production, Warner Brothers. So, ano yung tumatakbo sa isip mo noon? Shortly before you open your mouth
Let
for the
me
first
try.
recording.
Let me try to remember that. So parang when I walked into the studio, I was so nervous talaga kasi I was like, okay, big project ito, but also at the same time, is this real? Is this happening? And also, again, I've been doing voiceovers for a long time, so parang it's something that was very familiar to me na the motions of going into a studio, putting on the headphones, sitting in front of a microphone and having a script with me. Pero nung nakita ko yung logo ng Warner Brothers sa screen, and then nakita ko yung DC logo, I was like, oh my gosh, medyo nanginginig ako. And I was like, okay, kailangan ko talagang galingan to. Like, to bring out the best. Like, nag-prepare ako days before. I made sure na hindi ako sumisigaw. I made sure that I was drinking very warm and soothing things for my throat. As in, inaalagaan ko po talaga yung boses ko to make sure that on the day itself, there are no problems whatsoever. And then,
Oo.
when we were recording the script, I was just like napaka-focused ko talaga. I don't even remember a lot of the parts kasi all I was thinking about was like I was reading the lines. Is that correct for is that the correct treatment for the scene? Wait, I'll do that again kasi hindi ako happy sa the way I sounded with that take. So parang I had to do it again. Like, can we do that again? Or like direction from Warner Brothers also. It was definitely a big day. Thank you, MJ. Thank you. But
Eto,
yeah. It
Sana
was fun.
mapagbigyan mo to, no? Kasi meron kang big fan dito. Si Harold Kahn is actually watching from Vienna, Austria. Big
Hi,
superhero
Harold.
flick fan yan. Kaso may request
Oh
siya
my.
eh. Can you speak the line, whatever you can imagine, I can create?
Sure. This is the line that the Scarab says in the trailer, right? This is something that she tells the main character, si Jaime. So she says, Jaime, whatever you can imagine, I can create.
Galing ah.
Thank you.
Nice voices. Yung tipong, I think everyone is, of course, no? Sorry that was a very stupid remark. Pero alam mo yung
No,
tipong,
no, no.
yung ganyang boses, pwede kang magbasa ng telephone directory, yung yellow
Yeah.
pages, and people won't get bored. kasi maganda yung register eh, no? Oh, may
Thank you.
nagtatanong dito, Siri, ikaw ba yan?
No, this is the Scarab.
Mukhang kakabahan sa'yo si Siri ah. Nako, baka mawalan ng trabaho yung nag-voice kay Siri. Okay, ito. Konting ano naman. Kilalang kilala ka rito definitely. Pero syempre, konting ano ulit. Reminder. A look back. A bit of a look back, no? So, Inka, you came from a family of voice talents. Tama ba?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Ano yun?
Yes, I did.
I suppose genetic or what? How are you exposed to this? Kasi
Definitely.
talk about your mom, your aunt, no?
Yes. So voice can be inherited in the same way na parang, oh, you have your mother's eyes or you have your dad's hair, let's say, ganon. You can absolutely inherit the voice of your parents. So whatever they sound like, parang ganon. That's why if you have any friends who are singers, most probably yung mom nila singer, yung dad nila singer, parang ganon. And
Mm-mm.
yeah, parang basically growing up, sa studio ako lumaki because we were always there um, every day basically after school. Minsan dun kami natutulog sa mga studios. And
Talaga.
just, I've
Ang
been,
galing ah.
yeah. And I've been working as a professional voiceover talent since I was 5 years old.
5.
And five, yes po.
What were
Matagal
you
na rin.
voicing at that age? Sorry medyo curious ako.
Yeah,
What
no,
were you
it's
voicing?
mga TV and radio commercials normally, like if there are kids in the ads, kanya pang hot dog or fast food or like vitamins, mga ganon. Sarap!
Mm.
Stuff like that.
Meron may crush sa iyo dito.
Hi,
Si
hello.
Ian Binondo. Instant crush,
Hi!
no?
Hi,
Mukhang
thank
natuwa sila kasi pinag-uusapan namin dito usually mga depressing political issues. Parang
Oh,
very
important
welcome
stuff too.
break ito eh, no? Oo. So,
Yeah.
eto nga pala, kasi I think you, a lot of people got to know you better or even more. I think that was 2 years ago, no? Tama ba? Because of that
Around
viral
almost
TikTok video.
three.
3 years
Yes.
ago na. Tama, tama,
Yes.
tama. Yung ano,
Kasi
yung
start of the
PAL.
pandemic.
Tama.
Yes.
Oo. So,
Yeah.
dun sa hindi familiar, yung boses sa PAL, that's you.
Yes.
Hindi ka pa ba nagsasawa pa nagpapasample sa'yo? Sorry.
Well, I know it's all part of the job, so it's okay.
Sige nga, I cannot
Oh,
miss this opportunity.
okay lang. Okay lang. I'll say the brand and all
Of
that stuff.
course, of course, of course. Walang
Okay.
problema. Para
Ay, sige.
magulat sila, oh.
Ay,
Game.
sige po. Okay, ready. Mabuhay and welcome to Philippine Airlines. We care about your safety. Please stow your baggage in the overhead bins or under the seats in front of you. This is a non smoking flight. Smoking, including use of electronic cigarettes, is not allowed.
Wow, galing. Yes, kasama na ako ron sa mga talagang directly nadinig ka live, no? Ito pala,
Thank
curious ako.
you.
Pag nasa PAL flight ka and then nadidinig mo yung voice mo, isn't that weird for you?
It's so funny kasi pag nagfa-fly ako with pal and then the recording comes on, 'di ba, I'm sitting in my chair, may nakikita na lang akong cellphone na gumaganon galing sa likod. Minsan ganyan. Or minsan
Dahil,
I look up tapos may nakaganito sa akin with their
dahil
camera.
nakilala ka.
Yeah, so people are just taking videos of me and I have to go, Hi.
Hindi
That's
mo ba
so
sila tinotroll? Di ba minsan yung iba hindi naman nakikinig dun sa
apa.
instructions, eh, no?
Yeah.
Baka pwede mong gamitin yung same voice to remind them, "Hey,
I'll
idiots, you
whisper
have
it.
to listen to the
I'll whisper it to
instructions."
the guy in front of me.
Tapos,
Surround
yung mom
sound.
mo, she was the old pal voice. Tama ba?
Yes, in the 90s, she would do a lot of the voiceovers for the commercials before. Kasi in the 90s po, wala pa pong in-flight announcements. So
Mm.
at that time, she was the regular voiceover for all the ads.
Mm. Aside
Mm.
from this, no, ano pa yung mga ibang ano mo, yung mga gigs mo? Yung ganyan, kung saan nadinig talaga yung boses mo?
Ah, gosh, so many. I actually recently posted some ads na ginawa ko when I was 16 pa, ganon. That was for Nissan Cup Noodles, nag smart telecommunications na nagawa ko na mga commercials. But any brand po, any brand that you can possibly think of that needed a voiceover, I probably did a voiceover for at one point. Um, and then also a lot of other mga live voiceover events. I've done Miss Universe gigs. I've done other pageants as well, like Mutya ng Pilipinas or Miss World. I also did the live voiceovers for the opening of places such as the Marriott or Nobu,
Mm.
things like that.
Curious ako, no? Sorry, chismoso.
Yes.
Paano kayo nag-uusap pa sa family? Kunwari, at the dinner table. Ang gaganda ng boses, eh, no? So, ang swerte naman ng kapitbahay nyo kung ma-overhear nila. O kaya, for instance, sa restaurant, yung next table, ang ganda naman ng boses ng mga yan, no? Hindi naman,
Minsan nga po, tinotroll namin yung mga waiter na, lahat kami mag-order with the voiceover voice. I'd like to order
talaga,
pesto, please.
ano sinasabi ng mga waiter?
Patulog sila. Ma'am.
So, yung aunt mo, no, tama siya, nakikita ko sa yung mga videos mo online, ano? Yung tita mo, siya naman yung sa MTRCB, tama ba?
Yes, the sister of my dad. Siya yung patnubay ng magulang. Ano yun? Ang kailangan. May masaselang tema, lengguwahe.
Pwede mo rin
That's
palitan yung tita mo pala, no?
sa hindi. Ninang, sorry.
Tama ba? Yung napad ko kasi yung video na yun, no? You were the one who outed your tita.
Yes, because she wasn't really telling everyone. Sabi niya, oh my
Ah,
God! You posted it! Shucks! Nasya-shy siya. Kasi
so
po
paano niya
usually mga voice-over shy po kasi behind the scenes.
talaga? Hindi ba siya na-skandalo?
Hindi naman po. Natuwa nga siya eh. After a while.
Ayan, no? Nakita na ni Science and Facts, no? Kasi meron tayong viewer dito. Ang first name niya Science. Ang middle name niya End.
And
Tapos surname niya
in
Facts.
fact,
Ayan. Si Science yan. Okay. So, ibig sabihin yung voice talent na yan from both sides. From your mom and from your dad. Tama ba?
yes, absolutely
Ah.
correct.
May ano ba ka? May siblings ka?
I do. And they also do voiceovers.
Wow. Like what? Anong, mga commercials din or mga events yung ganon?
Yes, I think my brother has a new ad by Globe out. Yung bagong Globe ad ngayon na I think parang point of view of a dad. That's my brother's voice.
Curious ako, no? So, ibig sabihin yung family nyo parang ano siya, voice over talent. So, talent. So, ibig sabihin, pag kunwari ako, I need someone, kukontak ako. O
Yes,
yung
yes,
magagaling yung boses nandyan, dyan nakatira yan. Ganun ba yun?
yes. Tapos minsan, yes, exactly. Tapos minsan po, parang kunwari, hindi available yung isa. Because we sound like each other, you can get my mom na lang kung hindi ako available. Ganun.
Talaga.
Opo.
You said kanina, you started early, 5 years old. Pero,
Mhm.
how did you get, parang initiated dyan? Kumbaga, paano? Sinaba ka na lang bigla or
I
parang
guess so.
pinaprime ka ng konti?
Um, Parang, to be honest with you, hindi ko na po maalala kasi I was so young then. But as according to my parents, parang one day they were like, ay, si Inka, parang baka pwede siyang mag-voice over sa role na to. Gusto niyo i-try? And then I tried it. And okay, it was good. And then after that, sunod-sunod na ata eh.
Talaga? Kaya
Yeah.
pala ito, dito sa Blue Beetle, no? So kanina tinanong ko yung challenge yung itself, no? Pero ito yung first time mo to actually voice a character in a movie, tama ba?
My first time to voice a character in a movie, yes. Pero nakapag-voice over na ako ng character sa uh, isang TV show before.
Pwede bang
Mm-mm.
mabanggit yung TV show na yan? Or
Oh yeah, sure. It
bawal?
was the Philippine adaptation of the Korean drama Startup. So I also voice an AI. I'm the parang Siri ng show.
Startup, ito yung sa Channel 7, tama ba?
Yes po, Startup PH with Bea Alonzo
Oo.
and Alden Richards. Ako po yung Siri nila doon, si Maria.
Oo. Hindi kasi ako fan ng mga Korean series eh. Kaya hindi ko sasabihin na hindi ko napanood yung original na Startup.
I
Actually,
haven't seen
napanood
it
ko yun.
also.
Hindi. Nagjo-joke lang ako. I'm a big fan of
Ay,
Korean,
ako din, nag-joke din ako.
Ayan eh, nag-ano pa eh, no? Nagtutulakan pa eh, no? Anyway, Inka, thank you very much for joining us. Pero ito, invite them again to watch yung Blue Beetle.
Sure. Hi, everyone watching Facts First right now. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all of your comments. Please don't forget to watch Blue Beetle. It's the newest DC superhero movie for the entire family. It's coming out in theaters August 16.
Ganda ng boses, no?
Thank you.
Pwede bang pa-record tapos gawin kong ringtone, no?
Ay, sige po, anytime.
Okay. Inka, maraming salamat and more power to you and God bless you and we're all very proud of you. Pinoy pride
Thank
indeed.
you.
Maraming
Thank
salamat,
you,
Inka.
Christian. Maraming salamat din po. Good evening.
Bye-bye. Ayan, si Inka, no? So, nagulat ba kayo? Medyo light ang discussion natin ngayon. Pero, very, very interesting. Okay? Eto, pag-usapan natin. Problema. Bilis ng natin, no? Ang bilis ng segue natin, no? Kasi hindi natin pwedeng bitawan yung mga bad news na nangyayari. Especially, naglabas po ng statement yung Chinese Embassy dito po sa Pilipinas. And kung akong tatanungin nyo, if I were to describe that statement, napakasimple. Gaslighting. Alam niyo po yung meme ni Bea Alonzo, yung sa isang movie niya, One More Chance ba yun? Yung nakaganon si Bea, ba't parang kasalanan ko pa? Yun yung una kong naramdaman nung nabasa ko yung statement ng Chinese Embassy regarding that incident near Ayungin Shoal kung saan inatake po ng China Coast Guard yung isang Philippine Coast Guard vessel gamit po ang water cannon. So yun po yung pag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi. And ito na, naka-declare na po kung sino po yung guest natin dahil pinresent ko na, no? Ang guest po natin ngayong gabi, we're very, happy that is able to join us again. Si retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Magandang gabi po, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, magandang gabi, Christian, and to our viewers.
Okay, ito nga sir, ano bang first impressions nyo doon sa statement coming from the Chinese Embassy? Tayo yung basically sinisi.
Well, their position is that the arbitral award is void, no? That's nothing new. Of course, that's wrong because they ratified UNCLOS, and once you ratify UNCLOS, you give in advance your consent. Pag in the future, there will be a case against you. Ang sinasabi nila, hindi naman kami sumang-ayon, we did not give our consent to the arbitration. But once you sign as a party to UNCLOS, when you ratify it, you give your consent. Yan nakalagay doon eh. So, all members of UNCLOS have given their consent in advance. So, yung rason ng China talagang does not hold any water, no? So, ngayon, sabi nila, based on their position, sabi nila kanila yon. But they're the only ones saying that. They have always been saying that because otherwise, they'll have to admit that atin yung, we have a huge maritime zone, exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea. So, they will never change their position. So, ang dapat gawin natin, okay, ganyan ang position ninyo. But since the world now knows that that is our EEZ, we will get the gas. And if we succeed in getting the gas, panalo na tayo. Katulad ng Malaysia, the same thing. Sabi ng China, you cannot get the gas. Sabi ng Malaysia ay EEZ namin ito, exclusive economic zone. Tinuloy ng Malaysia, kinuha nila yung gas, walang magawa ang China. So even if China does not recognize the EEZ of Malaysia, baliwala sa Malaysia because they're getting the gas. Ganyan din nangyari sa Indonesia. Sabi ng China, you cannot get the gas in Natuna, in the Natuna Island. Sabi ng Indonesia, amin ito, exclusive economic zone namin ito. They proceeded with the support of the US kasi when the survey ship went to the Natunas, andoon yung US aircraft carrier Ronald Reagan, no? So walang magawa yung Chinese Coast Guard vessel. So that's the situation. Malaysia and Indonesia are getting their gas kahit na China is saying bawal or sinasabi ng China na sa amin yung gas. But of course, mali ang China. Nobody really believes the Chinese position is correct, except China.
Okay. Sir, medyo nag-feedback po ako dyan. Meron po ba kayo naka-open na nakabukas sa TV or device? Wala naman po.
Everything.
Okay naman. Okay naman. I-mute ko na lang kayo habang ako'y nagtatanong. Pag gano'n, walang feedback eh. Anyway, sir, ito po yung tanong ko naman. No? Sabi nyo, parang ito yung yung proof, no? So kailangan natin kunin yung gas diyan para i-assert natin yung ating sovereign rights sa ating exclusive economic zone, which is of course the West Philippine Sea. Ang tanong ko po diyan, realistically how can we do that? Kung itong ang resupply mission natin papunta sa Ayungin Shoal, ganyan na yung reaction coming from China. Binobomba na po tayo ng water cannon.
Well, na Malaysia and Indonesia nagawa nila. Kahit na sinabi ng China na hindi niyo pwede gawin yan kasi that's within the 9-dash line. But they proceeded. They had the political will. Tinuloy nila. Pinadala nila yung survey ship nila accompanied by their Navy and Coast Guard, and at the same time, the US and Australians were there in the same area with respect to the Malaysians. Sa Indonesia naman, andoon yung mga Amerikano, the US aircraft carrier Ronald Reagan. Tayo, hindi natin ginawa yan. During the time of Duterte, hindi niya ginawa. Sabi niya, magagalit si President Xi Jinping. So, we have not tried it. So, how can we say that hindi natin makukuha yung gas? We haven't even tried it.
Okay. So, that's a good point, no? Hindi pa natin sinubukan. Okay. Ito naman po, you mentioned the United States. Kasi, mahaba yung statement ng Chinese Embassy regarding that incident near Ayungin Shoal. At yung toward the latter part, binabanatan nila yung United States. Ang sabi ng Chinese Embassy, the US has also rallied certain allies to persistently sensationalize the South China Sea issue, extensively hype up the recent maritime incident and attack China's legitimate and lawful actions at sea. Ano pong basa nyo rito?
Well, yung China, they're saying na lawful yung action nila. Illegal yung action nila kasi that is violative of the arbitral award. Sabi ng arbitral award, yung Ayungin Shoal ay exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas. So if it's our exclusive economic zone, we have the exclusive right to get all the natural resources. We have the exclusive right to put up a structure there. So, walang base yung sinasabi ng China na they have a right to that area. At saka, yung US naman, they're involved, they're concerned with the freedom of navigation. Kasi their ships pass through the South China Sea. About $1 trillion in US import and export pass through the South China Sea. And also, 25% of the South China Sea are high seas. Pag yung high seas, the high seas belong to all mankind. Lahat na bansa pwede mangisda dyan, pwede dumaan dyan, pwede mag-loiter dyan. So, they have a right to be there also. Hindi pwede, ang sinasabi ng China, walang high seas at South China Sea. That's contrary to UNCLOS. I mean, all the countries of the world consider that the South China Sea have high seas. Ang China lang, sinasabi ng China, wala kasi those are Chinese waters. No? So talagang China is making its own laws which is contrary to UNCLOS, contrary to international law.
Napansin ko rin pala, sir, no? Kasi although consistently, ganito yung boses ng China whenever they respond to complaints or protests about their bullying doon sa South China Sea at saka in particular sa West Philippine Sea. Pero I don't know whether you share this observation of mine, sir, no? Parang mas nagiging brazen yung kanilang narrative na sila yung tama at Pilipinas yung mali. May ano yung nakikita niyong dahilan dyan?
Because they have no other choice. Wala na, talo na sila sa arbitration. The EU, entire EU, the G7, Japan, Australia, India, they're all supporting us. So, wala nang bansa na powerful supporting China. Even Russia is neutral. Because Russia Russia respects the decisions of the UNCLOS tribunals. Kahit na yung Russia, natalo sila sa arbitration filed by the Netherlands dun sa Arctic Sunrise case, eventually they complied with the award. China is the only country that has not complied with the award up to now. Nag-iisa ang China in refusing to comply with an award of an UNCLOS tribunal.
Ito po, sir. Tama ba yung response sapat ba yung response natin na nagpa-file tayo ng lagi ng note verbal, basically protest? Enough na ba yon to actually somehow play this long game that China is basically playing? Or we should do more?
Well, first of all, we have to file a protest at the minimum. Kasi if you do not file the protest, ibig sabihin yan, you are consenting, impliedly consenting to what China is doing. So under international law, we have to file a protest to preserve our right. Kasi there is a doctrine in international law na pag your rights or sovereignty is being infringed and you do nothing, it is as if you have acquiesced. That's the doctrine of acquiescence. So basic yan, we have to protest. We cannot fail to protest because in fact, that was raised sa arbitration at The Hague. Sabi ng China, wala naman kayong protesta eh. Hindi, pinalabas natin lahat ng mga note verbals natin protesting the actions of China. And we were upheld there that we did not consent to what China was doing because we protested. Now, is that enough? It's not enough. We have to assert our rights. Like, for example, we have to go there and get the gas. Ang ginagawa ni Duterte, hihingi muna ng permission sa China to get the gas. China does not own the gas. Why do we have to get the permission of China? Malaysia did not get the permission of China. Indonesia did not get the permission of China. They just went there and surveyed and drilled. Pag siyempre, tanongin mo sa China, pwede ba? Of course, China will say no.
Oo nga, no? Tayo pa nagpapaalam, no? Sarili nating bakuran. Pwede po ba namin pakinabangan yung tanim namin sa aming sariling bakuran?
Atin yun, sabi ng tribunal. Sa inyo yan eh. Bakit pa tayo magpapaalam?
Ito, sir, yung next na tanong ko, no? Kasi medyo hindi naman nakakagulat, pero medyo nakakainis talaga itong statement from China. Lalo sinabi nila, humanitarian para yung approach na ginawa ng China Coast Guard vessel doon sa Philippine Coast Guard vessel dahil binomba lang ng water cannon. Tapos yung parang mas malaking punto rito, pinagbibintangan nila yung Philippine vessel na hindi naman daw papunta lang sa Ayungin para mag-resupply ng ating mga tropa doon sa BRP Sierra Madre, kundi para kumpunihin o reinforce o palakasin yung ating barko na technically kahit bulok ay in active service pa rin.
Well, under the arbitral award, sabi ng arbitral tribunal, the Philippines has the exclusive right to exploit the natural resources. Lahat ng gas, fish, oil sa Ayungin Shoal sa atin yan. Tsaka secondly, because that's in our exclusive economic zone, we have the exclusive right to erect a structure. Pwede tayo maglagay ng lighthouse or a barracks there for our soldiers kasi that's part of the right of a coastal state. So we have a right to send our ship there. Hindi pwede hintuin ng China. Sino ba ang China? They're not the coastal state that has jurisdiction. Wala silang EEZ eh.
Okay. So yun yung reality by law. Kaso yung reality naman po dun sa mismong karagatan, mahirap talaga na gawin yung resupply mission, more so yung pagkumpuni ng ating BRP Sierra Madre dahil nakabantay yung China Coast Guard. So ano po yung pwede natin gawin para mas ma-address natin itong problemang ito?
Ang gagawin dapat natin, we have to send bigger Coast Guard vessels and have joint patrols with the US when we go there to resupply the BRP Sierra Madre. Ganyan ang formula ngayon eh. That's how Malaysia did it. That's how Indonesia did it. So, we have to we have to exercise our right, assert our right. We'll send our ship there together with our Navy or Coast Guard, and at the same time, magkaka-joint patrol tayo sa US in that area. Walang magagawa ang China. That's exactly what happened in Malaysia and Indonesia. Pero pag during the time of Duterte, sabi niya, I love President Xi Jinping. So walang nangyari sa atin. Now we have a new president and the new president is saying the right things. So the acid test is, will he send the survey ship to Reed Bank? Because yun ang pinaka-importante, to get the gas in Reed Bank, because Malampaya is running out of gas. And if we don't get the gas in Reed Bank, we will be importing LNG. Napakamahal yan. Our power rates will go up by 50%. Magsasara yung mga kumpanya, yung mga opisina. We'll have daily brownouts of 12 to 14 hours a day. So that's why we have really to get the gas in Reed Bank. Yun ang acid test eh.
Okay. So napakalino no, yung acid test no. Pero ito nga gusto kong balikan yung sinasabi ng China na matinding gaslighting, kasalanan ng Pilipinas, kasalanan ng Coast Guard vessel natin dahil papunta tayo ron sa sa Ayungin Shoal. Pero nga, ang point dito, hindi ba parang ang una ko po naisip dito sa statement na to, yung the temerity of the Chinese government to say all these things, sila nga yung nagtayo ng artificial islands, nag-reclaim doon sa South China Sea at pati yung West Philippine Sea na kumbaga, nadamay, di ba? Nagtayo ng structure sa sarili nating bakuran. I mean, I know this is better answered by the Chinese government, pero sa tingin nyo, saan nanggagaling yung temerity na yun?
Well, because they have the might. Because China is trying to change international law. Kasi under international law, right is might. Under the 1945 UN Charter, no? Kasi before the UN Charter, before 1945, war or threat of force or use of force were legitimate means of annexing territory. So before the 1945 UN Charter, you want to get the territory of your neighbor, you go to war. If you win, sa iyo na yan. But in 1945, to end all of these wars, world wars, we adopted the UN Charter, and under the UN Charter, use of force or threat of force has been outlawed. You cannot use that to settle territorial or maritime disputes. Now, China is a member of the UN. It has subscribed to that. But on the ground, in the water, China is subverting that, overturning that. China is using force to settle dispute. That is contrary to UNCLOS and to the UN Charter. Kaya nga sabi ko, we have to bring this to the UN General Assembly. Because in the UN General Assembly, the issue there is, can a state use force to settle a dispute? Of course they cannot, because that's expressly prohibited under the UN Charter. Ganyan nangyari sa Ukraine eh. Russia used force, invaded Ukraine and annexed the territory of Ukraine. Ang ginawa ng Ukraine, dinala sa General Assembly, hindi sa Security Council kasi may veto power ang China. Dinala sa UN General Assembly, and overwhelmingly, the General Assembly voted to condemn Russia.
Okay.
Because hindi mo i-condemn, babagsak ang UN Charter. The UN Charter will become a useless piece of paper. The UN will collapse. It really existence of the United Nations, itong ginagawa ng China, and what Russia is doing in Ukraine.
Okay. Pero kayo po, ano yung realistically nakikita nyo magiging response ng General Assembly in case we bring this case before the UN General Assembly?
Well, we have to prepare. Hindi pwede pag sinampa natin and tomorrow we ask for a voting, mali yan. You don't do that. You have to lobby. Sabi ng EU, we support you. Okay, help us get the votes. Sabi ng US, Canada, we support you. Okay, help us get the votes. Sabi ng Australia, Japan, and even India now. Because they don't want the legal order to be overturned by China and by Russia. That's why they're fighting Ukraine, because the issue there is, can a country annex the territory of another country by force, by invasion, despite the UN Charter? They want to put an end to that. And the same thing is happening in the South China Sea. Can China annex the maritime zones and the island territories of the Philippines by intimidation, by gray zone tactics? That's also against the UN Charter. That's threat of force. So the entire existence, the existence of the UN is at stake here. That's why I believe the EU and the developed countries will support us, and they're actually supporting us. So we have to gather the votes first. Once we have a clear majority, isampa natin yung resolution for voting. Hindi lang, this is hard work. We have to work here.
Okay. So, pero sa tingin nyo ba susunod ang China sakaling, let's say, we get an overwhelming support from the General Assembly? Kasi ngayon, malinaw naman na yung international law, yung UNCLOS, talaga nasa side natin, may decision yung Permanent Court of Arbitration, ang daming condemnation, palawak ng palawak, especially under this administration coming from other countries, para mas nagiging brazen yung China. You think yung General Assembly support to the Philippine cause that could finally keep China at bay?
Katulad ng Russia, despite the strong condemnation, patuloy pa yung Russia. China will do the same, but then Russia is being isolated now. Russia is being sanctioned by the EU, by other countries. Ganyan rin mangyari sa China. China will not follow because they are nuclear armed, they have nuclear weapons. But then the world will say, we cannot allow you to do this because our own exclusive economic zone will also be endangered if a more powerful neighbor of ours will follow you. Paano na kami? So everybody will understand that we cannot allow a country like Russia or China to be an exception to the rule. We cannot allow them because they are nuclear powers. They can just grab the territory of their neighbors. Pag ginawa mo yan, wala nang katapusan yan. That's the reason all the members of the EU are really supporting Ukraine, because that is the principle there. Pag pinayagan nila yan, if they allow Russia to do that, walang katapusan yan. Russia will go to Lithuania, to the smaller countries in the Baltic states, no? Ganyan din ang gagawin ng China. Pag nakuha nila ng China yung ating maritime zone, kawawa na yung sunod na yung Brunei, susunod na rin Vietnam and Malaysia. So we have to stand our ground here and get the support of the world.
Ito sir, may tanong po sa inyo, no? I think marami rin nag-iisip nito, no? Why is China so aggressive in bullying the Philippines despite the fact that we have a mutual defense treaty with the United States? At lately, no, mas malinaw yung pagkakasabi ng ng Amerika. Pag inatake niyo yung vessel, basically referring to BRP, that would activate the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. Pero baka sa tingin niyo, despite this, aggressive pa rin sa bullying yung China?
Because China is pushing the envelope to the limit, no? They will not fire a shot at BRP Sierra Madre because that will give the US an excuse to intervene. So what they will do is just keep on intimidating us. Pag nagpatakot tayo, talo tayo. So we have to fight back. Because if we fight back just like the Malaysians, Indonesians, walang magagawa ang China. Tayo, we have a president before who said, wala tayong laban sa China. So talo agad tayo. Pag sinabi mo yon, talo ka na. So we have to push back. And China will not fire a single shot on BRP Sierra Madre because alam nila that means the US will intervene, and the last thing they want is for the US to intervene.
Ito sir nga pala, you mentioned the former president, no? I think it's pretty obvious to a lot of people na iba yung diskarte ng former president when it came to China at yung diskarte ngayon yung pronouncements coming from President Marcos regarding China. Pero recently, nakita natin si former President Duterte nagkaroon ng isang meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping at mukhang hindi alam na Malacanang beforehand, although ang claim nila, in-inform naman daw sila. I mean, anong basa nyo rito? Parang, yabe former president, wala namang masama kung makapag-meet kay Xi Jinping, pero yung timing and then yung circumstances and context, what do you say today?
Well, of course, President Duterte is cooperating with China to undermine the Philippine position. Klaro yan eh. Biro mo, sasabihin niya kay President Xi Jinping, please be kind to my country. Eh pag ginanyan mo, talo ka na. If you are begging, talo ka na. And China does not respect those who ask for mercy. You have to show China that you are willing to defend your territory and maritime zones. And if you have an ally like the US who will help you, you have to show it.
Pero hindi po ba nakaka-apekto doon sa China policy ng Marcos Jr. administration, or siguro to be more blunt about it, nakakagulo or nakakadiskaril?
So with any administration, the Marcos administration wants friendly relations with China. But how can you take that? How can you have friendly relations with a country that is invading you? That is seizing your maritime zones and island territories in the West Philippine Sea. Hindi naman pwede sabihin mo, kaibigan pa rin natin. Eh kinukuha na yung mga, your land is being taken away.
Well, maraming salamat po, Justice Antonio Carpio. Nakakalungkot yung pinag-uusapan natin, pero I really hope people in government, those who are actually in the position to make decisions, would listen to what people like you have been saying. Maraming salamat po, sir.
Yes, thank you, Christian. You know, Malaysia and Indonesia were able to do it. There's no reason why we should not be able to do it also. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po si retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Atin po nakapanayam and napakalinaw po na nilatag niya mga punto, mga issues. Sana nga lang po makinig po yung ating administrasyon. Alam po natin hindi magiging madali ito dahil nandun pa rin po yung napakalawak na impluwensya ng dating Pangulo. Yan, nakapag-meeting pa kay Xi Jinping no? Tapos mukhang naiistorbo o naapektuhan yung diskarte nitong kasalukuyang administrasyon. Dahil alam niyo naman, hindi naman tayo bulag or parang inosente pagdating dun sa dynamics between the former president and the current president. Kahit, of course, on the surface, ngingitian sila, nagkakamayan. Pero alam natin, apektado yung diskarte ng Bongbong Marcos. Pero ingay, titingnan natin. Ako, suggestion ko po sa inyo, balikan niyo yung statement coming from the Chinese Embassy. Medyo nakakainis po talaga. You don't have to be a Filipino to actually read or realize what's inherently wrong in that statement. Yun po, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat and salamat po sa pakikinig at panonood po dito sa ating programa ngayong gabi. Ako po si Christian Esguerra and meron ba mga humahabol? Ayun. Ayan, okay. Sige, okay na. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat at magkita-kita po tayo bukas. Tomorrow is, ano ba bukas? Thursday na, no? Akala ko Friday na. Masyado po kasi mahabang araw natin ngayon. Kaya akala natin Friday na bukas. Anyway, maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. I hope nag-enjoy kayo dito sa mahirap mag-enjoy dito sa second part ng ating interview, no? Pero at least sa first part, no? Nakausap natin si Inka Magnaye. And then second part, I hope mas marami kayo natutunan. Alam niyo po kasi delikado rito sa atin yung baka meron tayong mga kababayan na ibinebenta ng interest natin bilang Pilipino, bilang bansa sa ibang bansa. Yun po yung binabantayan natin dapat. So, yung mga nagbubulag-bulagan dyan hanggang ngayon, yung mga kahit yung katotohanan, yung facts, nasa harapan na nila, napakalapit na, ayaw pa rin kilalanin, sana po magising kayo eventually. At sana by that time, pag nagising kayo, buo pa po yung Pilipinas at hindi pa talaga natatapyasan dahil dito sa ginagawa ng China. Okay, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Magandang gabi po.